chaotic, and it has changed my life. I'm a fan of his ever since. I love this collection. Of his most legendary supermodels and more. The four queens of the runway. Fashion, New York Fashion Week is right around the corner. Librarian tonight, and that's because I came to read a bitch. Jaja's Atelier, bitch. Welcome back, y'all, to a brand new episode of Jaja's Atelier. It's your girl. I haven't been here in like 2 weeks. Listen, I'm sorry for the delay, but work got crazy. You know, I'm still a cubicle girl, and I still work a 9 to 5, honey. And with the holidays coming up, things are starting to pick up and get crazy at the job. Also, I've got these home renovations going, but I'm back. Not to mention, I got a little wore out, like smack dab in the middle of Paris Fashion Week, on top of Paris Fashion Week, and on top of everything that was going on in the world, girl. I just need to escape for a minute. But I appreciate you guys being patient with me. You guys know I'm always going to come back and spill the tea. Now, I don't know what the fuck was going on this morning, but Jeff Bezos, I'm going to need for you to fix your corner of the motherfucking internet. Because people have online banking. People have bills that they need to pay online. Like, y'all is doing too much. Y'all is doing too goddamn much. Y'all already got all this fucking money. Do you have to fuck with the internet too? I bet you he had somebody down there just flipping the goddamn switch like this. Anyway, it came back on. Thank God. I hate to start off the show with bad news, but we've got a lot of bad news to kick off with before I even get into Paris Fashion Week. They say death comes in threes, and unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks, it definitely did. I am really not feeling this look. Now, this is a little mini dress, but it's like, you know, it was a robe, and I converted it into a mini dress, but I'm not really feeling this on camera. Anyway, it's on and I'm on, so whatever. First we lost Diane Keaton, which kind of blew me because she's one of my favorite movie actresses. Everything from Something New or Something's Gotta Give to The Godfather. My favorite movie of Diane Keaton, though, has got to be First Wives Club. And not only was she a brilliant actress, but she was also a style icon. I mean, really cementing menswear for women on the map. You know, her, Whoopi Goldberg, and even in some cases Julia Roberts, but Diane Keaton really made it her own, and she had her own style. So rest in peace, Diane Keaton. Your talent and your sweetness and your naivete will definitely be missed. We also lost, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm not really familiar with this amazing trailblazer of a woman, but we also lost trans advocate Miss Major Griffin Gracie. Miss Major Griffin Gracie was a legendary Black transgender activist and Stonewall veteran known for her decades of work fighting for the rights of trans women of color. A survivor of sex work, incarceration, and the AIDS epidemic, she was a fierce advocate for the incarcerated and the founding executive director of the Transgender Variant Intersex Justice Project, also known as TGIJP. She was 78, I believe, which, you know, the life expectancy of Black trans women is usually, I think it's like no later than 30. So there's so many of us out here that's pushing 40 and 50, and to see people like Laverne Cox, who's in her 50s, and T.S. Madison, who just turned, I believe she just turned 48 or 49. You know, these are signs that despite what's going on with the administration, that Black trans women especially are out here living, thriving, and becoming, you know, great members of society and pioneers for their community. So thank you so much, and rest in peace to Miss Gracie. But perhaps the saddest loss we faced this week had to have been singer, songwriter, genre creator, the creator of the music genre neo soul, the very handsome D'Angelo. Honey, let me tell y'all something about D'Angelo. That How Does It Feel video, that cemented it for me. When I saw it is two people that really cemented me as a queer person before I decided to be trans. And that's definitely that scene where DMX took Keisha down at the beginning of Belly, and even more so that How Does It Feel video by D'Angelo. But I didn't know, I was listening to all the people talk about him, it's cigarette time. All the people talk about him and, his life. And I didn't realize that his sex appeal really ended up kind of being a hindrance to him. He didn't really, he didn't want to be known for just that. And my favorite D'Angelo song has got to be Devil's Pie. If you've never heard Devil's Pie, it's on the Belly soundtrack. Speaking of Belly, see how things come full circle in the atelier? It's called Devil's Pie. And if you listen to the lyrics, this man was ahead of his time. He was a musical genius. His voice was unmatched. He was the epitome of a beautiful black man. But moreover, he was seeing things back in the 90s and the early 2000s that we just weren't seeing. A lot of us. And he will be greatly missed. But yeah, if you get a chance to check out that song Devil's Pie, make sure you check it out and listen to it. That's y'all's homework. Get down in them comments and tell me what you think. So rest in peace to all of those people. I mean, they all left their mark in the world, and they will be greatly missed. And my condolences to their family. Also, D'Angelo, it's even more sad for the D'Angelo loss because he has a son. One of his children is with the late, great Angie Stone. The two of them had a relationship for quite a while. And that was very heavily scrutinized throughout the industry because she was 11 years older than them. And they share a son together. And to have lost both of your parents within the span of, I think, like 7 months. I think Angie Stone died back in March. So prayers for him too. Prayers for him too. I know what it's like to lose a parent, but I don't know what it's like to lose both. So he is deeply in our prayers. So listen, guys. Let's briefly wrap up Paris. But before I do, I'm gonna tell you part of the reason why I got burnt out. And let me scoot up because I'm about to really read. Though this past Paris Fashion Week was the most anticipated in a long time, in decades, the most moving parts within the houses that we've seen in a long time, Paris Fashion Week was kind of a dud for me. It was kind of a dud for me. And not because of the lack of talent, but I think everybody, even though it might not show when you see the designers and they're being interviewed by Vogue and WWD and what have you, it's showing in their work that, people have a lot more on their mind than just clothes. And the way I saw some of these fashion influencers, just, people have opinions. People's eyes aren't lying to them. Okay? I look like a choir director. I really should have thought this too. I thought it was going to be cute with the earrings. I don't know. Anyway, people's eyes aren't deceiving them. I will say that I think the more cameras that are on fashion and that have been put on fashion, people are no longer able to discern something that's not their taste and something that's not a good collection. Because just because you don't like it doesn't make it a bad collection. And the amount of elitism that I saw in the comment section, like people can't comment on it because they've never been to Paris. A lot of y'all influencers with millions of followers, I ain't never seen y'all at Nair show. Some of you. Now, I've never been to a Paris fashion show. I've been to a fashion show, but I've never been to Paris Fashion Week. And the one thing that this Paris Fashion Week has taught me is Paris ain't the end all. Europe in general ain't the end all be all for fashion, because Lagos is on y'all neck. But we don't talk. Vogue doesn't touch on that now, do they? And it's just like the elitism and the capitalism, it's really starting to suck the joy out of fashion. And I know it's going to be people like, well, it's only going to do it if you let it, ignore the comments. But it's just like, God damn, why does it even have to be like that? Can we have a healthy debate, throw a little shade and just move on? Why does it have to be certain people trying to make people feel like they're not even good enough to be in that space? Because half of these designers that some of y'all go crazy for were children of, look at Giorgio Armani. Giorgio Armani was an orphan from the age of 4 years old. Who knew that he would be one of the most iconic, legendary designers of all time? Let the people around him tell it. He was going to be nothing. Y'all really need to chill out in these comments and on your commentary. You have these hundreds of thousands to hundreds of millions of followers, and a lot of you are getting up here and you ain't no better than Trump with that capitalistic bullshit you be spitting about this fashion shit. Ooh. My lisp. Fashion is art. And art is welcome to everybody. Let's not do this. Because this kind of rhetoric is what has us in the position politically that we are in now. Now, with that being motherfucking said, so the first show I want to talk about from Paris is Métiers Fécaux, which in English means fecal matter. I talked about them briefly in a reel that I posted on YouTube and Instagram, but I want to touch on them again because when I think of Métiers Fécaux, I think of the future of European fashion. Okay. A lot of these fashion houses with these rotating designers, they archived us the fuck to death. Métiers Fécaux, however, when I think of Métiers Fécaux, I think of the future of fashion, whereas they're a brand new house. They ain't got no archive. And they're not pulling from anybody else. They are very original to me. And I love the angle that they come at. They come from an angle of all-inclusiveness. You see Black, you see Hispanic, you see people with disabilities. There was a girl on the runway. I thought it was special effects makeup. I can't think of her name, but she has this rare disease where it kind of distorts the shape of your face, and I hope I'm not being disrespectful when I say that, but they had her walking down the runway, and she looked absolutely stunning. I think when it comes to Métiers Fécaux, they really want everybody to feel welcome. That's the feeling that I get. But they've also got this dark, vampy, kind of dirty, dingy style. I mean, for the love of Christ, the name of the brand is Fecal Matter, But they do it in the most glamorous way. I mean, they've already got celebrities snatching looks fresh up the runway. Here's Lady Gaga in one of their looks, which is actually one of my favorites. It's very simple, but it's got their signature, vampy dark edge, which really goes along with Gaga's aesthetic. Yeah, so, when I think of Métiers Fécaux, I think of the future of European fashion. And I think this is one of the houses that we're going to be talking about years and years to come the way we talk about Yves Saint Laurent, the way we talk about well, maybe not Yves Saint Laurent because that's a little too far back, but maybe like how we talk about Mugler, how we talk about Tom Ford. I very much see them rising to the mainstream in a way that they won't ever be able to be forgotten. So huge congratulations to Mitzi and Fikal. Who else do we have? Let's see. Okay. Speaking of archival references, Pierpaolo Pacioli made his debut for Balenciaga. This is one of those collections. Listen, I watched it 3 times. I hated it the first time I saw it. I absolutely hated it. I'm not even going to lie to you. I hated it. The craftsmanship, gorgeous. The silhouettes, the sharpness of it, gorgeous. I love how he kind of, he went from the beginning to the very end with Demna. So you saw a 3-way cross section of him, Demna, and house founder Cristobal Balenciaga. And I thought it was important to honor Demna because, listen, Demna, we weren't really talking about Balenciaga like that until Demna came along. Let's be honest. Regardless of all the fuck-ups, regardless of the scandal, regardless of, the monotony of, his aesthetic, pushing his aesthetic through, everybody was wearing Balenciaga. Everybody. I was a huge fan of it. But with all due respect to Pierpaolo Pacioli, I take it one of 2 ways. The first way is he took the easy way out, in my personal opinion. The references were spot on, but I just wasn't feeling it. And it's like we've been archive referenced to death. I'm going to keep on saying it all throughout the show because that's what I fucking feel like, okay? But then, to play devil's advocate, you could also think of this collection as a funeral of what the prior creative director was doing. And, while still honoring Cristobal Balenciaga and saying, hey, this is it. This is what I'm giving you. I'm going to honor the people before me. And after this, it's all me. You could look at it that way as well. Because and in that vein, I really do understand, because you don't want to shock the system of the consumer. The people that actually buy Balenciaga. You don't want to, and I don't say that with any shade, but, the people that buy the couture and they buy, they're real diehard collectors and fans of the brand who can really afford to go in and drop $5,000, on a couple items, every couple of months or every month or whatever. You don't want to shock the system. So I think doing it this way, I think I'm on both sides of the coin. I feel like it was an easy way out, but I also feel like he's doing the brand a service because you don't want to go so far your way that people are like, what the fuck is this? But I also did see touches of Pierpaolo's Valentino in this collection. I did. But overall, it's not anything that I personally would want to wear. There was a couple of pieces in there. But, we'll have to see. The whole couture season is coming. Pierpaolo Pacioli is a genius. So, congratulations to Pierpaolo Pacioli. We can't wait to see what you bring in the future. But please, don't archive us to death. Thank you. And then we have the show that caused the most stir out of all of them. A very highly anticipated show, but not the most. It was Duran Lantink with his debut at Jean Paul Gaultier, which wasn't received well, and in a sense, you could say rightfully so. I just spoke about Pierpaolo Pacioli and, him taking the easy way out, while also kind of easing the consumer into his new era of Balenciaga, who, for those consumers who have been, Demna fans for so long, um, Duran decided to go completely left. And the collection was awful. It was. It was very costumey. It wasn't anything very wearable. But there were a lot of promising pieces, like these 3D bathing suits. These gravity-defying 3D bathing suits. I loved. Yeah, that was about all I liked. And then there was some dresses that I thought were kind of cool. But one thing I will say about this, I can appreciate that he didn't archive us to death. He took a chance. He took a risk. And, okay, this is his first time out. He's a young designer. He's never designed for a major fashion house, being the head of the major fashion house, like the creative director. This is his first time. And I thought it was brave of him to take a chance. I wouldn't wear any of that shit that he sent down that runway. But I salute him for, taking a chance and betting on himself. A lot of people were ripping it. I even saw people wishing death on him. I was like, girl, it's closed. Girl, people finna lose their food stamps right before. Oh, my curls are falling flat. People about to lose their food stamps right before Thanksgiving. Girl, it's closed. Calm the fuck down. So anyway, huge congrats. And listen, don't think that Jean-Paul Gaultier didn't see this before it went down the runway. If you want to talk to, in the words of Kamala Harris, if you want to talk to somebody, you talk to Jean-Paul. Because he approved it. Jean-Paul Gaultier is very much alive and well. And I bet you Jean-Paul Gaultier might not have liked it, but he probably said the same motherfucking thing my ass is saying is, hey, at least you're doing something different and you're betting on yourself. Put it down the runway. That's the only way you're going to learn. Anyway, congratulations to you and better luck next time, Duran Lantink. But I salute you for taking a chance. Because it was awful. But there were some pieces. There were some promising pieces. Now, we have to talk about, where is my Mugler notes? Don't tell me I don't have my Mugler notes. Hold on, guys. I thought I had it all together. Hold on, y'all. And I don't have them. All right, well, I don't really need them. I'm just going to double check, make sure. Okay. So, God, I can't even remember his name. Fuck! So we have the creative director. I'll write it in the edit. So we have a new creative director at Mugler, who they made their debut during Paris Fashion Week, and this was another show that people were really hyped about. I loved it. He did reference us, but he didn't archive reference us to death. But honey, he nailed it. It's still Mugler. He paid homage to that classic Mugler suit silhouette. I mean, look at this silver suit. I need this in 3 colors, black, white, and this peachy beige, Prada color beige color right here. I need this. And then we have these boots right here, which I thought were everything. They're connected to the pants, and you could see it on the other side with the show running. I just thought this collection was everything. I thought it could have been a little bit better. I didn't think it was everything, but I did think for, a first-time creative director of a major fashion house, I thought he definitely did his thing. I did think he kind of played it safe with the colors, but then I loved how he added, he referenced, some major haute couture pieces, like, the feather look that you saw here. So, listen, we have to give these designers a chance to get acclimated. A lot of these designers, even like the new creative director for Versace, these people have never been in this at the head of a major fashion house. You got to give people a chance. I saw people ripping this collection up to shreds, but I really liked it. Anyway, let's get to the piece de resistance, darling, because we have a couple of other stories I want to get to. Now, the show, everybody, the most anticipated show from Paris Fashion Week has got to go to the Chanel show. The Matthew Blasi debut for Chanel. Everybody was going crazy for it. I didn't watch it until the day after. My first time watching the Chanel show, I wasn't crazy about it. My second time watching it, I was like, huh. And my third time watching it, I was sold. I want to make sure I say this right. I'm just going to read from my notes. Again, this is a collection that made me realize, listen, just because you don't like it, it doesn't mean it's not a good collection. I thought this was genius. He did not archive us to death. What he actually did was get inspiration from house founder Coco Chanel's personal wardrobe. In my personal opinion. We didn't see a whole lot of tweed. I loved those feather skirts with those satin kind of t-shirts, but they were like very like lush satin. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. And I think he really played up the present day aristocrat socialite. The Upper East Side girl. I could see her wearing this. Girls like Selena Gomez, girls like, I could definitely see, even though I can't stand Taylor Swift, I could definitely see Taylor Swift wearing a lot of this Chanel. Ayo Edebiri, she's the new ambassador for Chanel. We've already seen her in a look from the runway at the annual, what was it? Some gala, the art museum gala, in LA. We saw her in the look. We also saw a lot of people wearing Pia Paolo Pacioli's Balenciaga as well. It definitely turns Chanel upside down. Chanel is a label brand. Like, you see the two C's, you know what it is. You wouldn't know that this was Chanel if you weren't really a fan of Chanel. And this is somebody coming from Bottega Veneta who is not Bottega Veneta. You know the bag when you see the actual bag. You don't know the bag just because it says Bottega Veneta. You know it's Bottega Veneta before you see that label. And I think that's what he's trying to do with Chanel, which I think is a powerful step forward, because people are straying away from Balenciaga, Givenchy, Gucci. Like, people are straying away from that, even fashion houses. So I think he's onto something with that, especially with a house so iconic like Chanel. But the one thing that brought a tear to my eye was Awar Odiang becoming the third model to close a Chanel fashion show. She became the third after Alec Weck in 2004 and a Dut Aketch in 2018, both under Karl Lagerfeld. I thought it was beautiful. And then him making Ayo Edebiri, the brand, one of the brand ambassadors, and she's on the latest cover of Vogue, wearing Chanel. I just thought, okay, I'm liking this. And there was a lot of looks that I would wear. That closing look, oh, honey, if I ever got invited to, a ballet, darling, or, something fancy like that, darling, I could definitely pull that off. And then it's like, it's also looks for every age group. You know what I mean? Anybody from the ages of 14 to 70 could wear some of these looks. So huge congratulations to Machu Blasi. I can't wait to see the haute couture, and I'm excited to see what else he has in store. So listen, I don't have that much time left. So let's get to my last story. In other fashion news, the Victoria's Secret fashion show happened last week. Victoria's Secret did a whole revamp. And listen, Tyra Banks, who was like the queen of all the Victoria's Secret angels, she came back last year. She wasn't there this year. They had definitely from last year, they had some kinks they had to work out, but they definitely worked them out. The girls looked absolutely stunning. Also making history was Angel Reese becoming the first pro athlete to become a Victoria's Secret angel, and she looked absolutely stunning. And a lot of you mozzarella stick built, creamy ranch cunts was out there. Oh, she looks manly. That body is so attainable. Bitch, well, why don't you have it? Y'all need to cut it out with this racism. I'm about to get to that in a minute. But those comments were disgusting. This girl is a bad bitch. Okay? And you know it. So cut it out. Huge congratulations to you, Angel Reese. I haven't always agreed with you in the past. Just think of me as your big sister girl. But, you're definitely doing the things. And I'm very proud of her. She looked absolutely amazing. And who knew underneath them basketball shorts, she had all that I've seen that thing thinging down the runway, girl. Also, we have Jasmine Tukes, who closed the show at 9 months pregnant. Honey, I could see that baby's face in your belly, girl. And she looked absolutely beautiful. So stunning. Gigi Hadid and her sister Bella Hadid walked. We saw Ashley Graham. Precious Lee also shut it down. So huge congratulations to the ladies, and a huge congratulations to Victoria's Secret for stepping our game up from last year. Okay? All right. So what else do we have? Okay. I might have to light me another cigarette on this one. So, Wendy Usefo and her husband, Eddie Usefo, stars of Real Housewives of Potomac, last week got caught up on, I believe, 17 counts? A host of counts of fraud charges, including insurance fraud. They claimed that their house was broken into and items were stolen, and they reported to the insurance company. One of the items included a $400,000, I believe it was a Bulgari ring, and it was $450,000 or something like that. And then they said they saw her wearing it the next day. You know what I didn't like? I don't like how when these celebrities get caught up in shit like this, we don't ever give them the benefit of the doubt. Wendy Usefo is a doctor. In case you also didn't know, not only is she a doctor, a college professor, and a reality TV star for the past, 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, she's also a political commentator. And we've been seeing people come after political figures and government figures with way less cachet than Wendy. But what I also want to say is, it is looking like there was some foul play. And I think us, especially as African Americans, we need to change the way we talk about money. We need to change the way we talk about money, because the way we talk about money has got a lot of us on this hamster wheel of having to keep up with the Joneses. I gotta keep up with the Joneses, especially these housewives. If this is true, Wendy will be the third or fourth housewife to go down for some kind of fraud or some kind of Ponzi scheme or something. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, Andy Cohen. Don't fire her. You didn't fire Jen Shaw from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and you damn sure didn't fire Teresa Giudice. As a matter of fact, you made the entire cast wait until she got out of jail before you started that next season. Now, Wendy is not my favorite housewife of Potomac, but she is needed on that show. And if y'all do fire her, it will speak volumes about y'all's character, Andy Cohen. I'm going to tell you right now. But back to us as Black people changing the conversation around money. We really have to change the way we talk about money. The way we use material things to belittle each other. When Wendy first came on that show, Wendy was cute. You know, she wasn't a glamazon. She was a bookworm. She was an educator. She was a voice for her people. It wasn't about the glitz and the glam for her. And then slowly over time, she got the lipos. She got the BBL. She's wearing all the 30-inch bust downs. She's got a full glam squad just to go to the, the Maryland Brewery to crack crabs. Like, and the girls, the other housewives questioned her about it. And I feel like we put this pressure on each other that leads us into all kind of debt and scam and trouble, and it's not worth it. Who you were was when you first got on the show was enough, or else you wouldn't have been on the motherfucking show, girl. And I'm gonna leave it at that because I'm running out of time here on my camera, and what I gotta get to next is very important. So over the weekend we had the No Kings protests. Oh, before I go on to that, Wendy and her husband have released a statement saying, we thank you during this trying time, yada yada yada, the whole spiel. So over the weekend we had the No Kings protests. It warmed my heart to see all you good white folks out there, because some of us Black folks were going out there. I'm going to tell you that right now. I saw nothing but white folks out there. And Latino people. I saw a lot of Latino people too out there. And a lot of elderly white folks. I even saw a video of this 96-year-old woman who was out there. I mean, look at this. This is Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York, San Diego, and Boston. Not to mention all the protests in all the smaller cities and towns across America. The biggest peaceful protest that didn't have anything to do with war in the history of the United States of America. All against Dingleberry Donald, who is tearing up the White House literally as we speak to build his ballroom. This is what we're going to have to do. Because we're getting dangerously close to the point of no return. It's like, we're like, it's close. This motherfucker done tore up this bitch done tore down the White House to build him a fancy ballroom. Queen. But there's still a subset of white people and black, because there's black maggots too. I got another name for them. I was in the grocery store last week, well, Friday or Saturday, and me, a young lady with her two kids, and this older white man with a MAGA hat, he had a MAGA t-shirt on, not a MAGA hat. And he was complaining about the prices, and he kept on saying, this is Antifa, those blacks and those Antifa, look at these prices, look at these prices. And he just kept going and going and going and fucking going. I finally turned around and I told him, will you shut the fuck up? Antifa means anti-fascist, cracker. Antifa is not a gang of people out to get you. Let me tell, for those white people out there, and for any of you watching that know white people like this, especially the crackers, the red bellies, the crackers, clip this part of the show and send it to them. Let me tell y'all something. You crackers have been bamboozled, bitch. You blaming gays are not your problem. First of all, let me address the Antifa. Antifa means anti-fascist. The constitution of this country that you claim you love so much is anti-fascist. The whole reason why y'all red belly crackers came over here from motherfucking Europe in the first place was to escape fascism and authoritarianism, whatever. See, y'all so busy trying to help Trump erase our history, you don't even know your own. Clock that T. And something else for you wild, wild, red belly, renegade, KKK crackers. These people, let me tell y'all something. Bigots, real bigots, have real big dollars. It would behoove you broke crackers to side up with the niggas. Because, honey, you ain't got no money. You don't have enough money to be a bigot. Again, you're so busy erasing our history, you don't even know your own. Because when slavery time was here and then, a lot of y'all couldn't afford, most of you couldn't afford slaves. That's why you ended up being slave catchers. Clock that T. You went down to those polls as if they were a political pawn shop for your white skin. And they told y'all before y'all got there that your white Pledge of Allegiance was worth $500,000, and in return, you got a check for 10 cents. Your white skin ain't worth diddly squat without no ends. Again, your white skin and your pledge allegiance to bigotry ain't worth squat without no ends. These motherfucking farmers that went down there and voted for him, they hanging themselves up in the goddamn barn. They so destroyed. And meanwhile, while y'all are still out here, oh, Trump, he's spending all your health care money. He's spending all your retirement money. He's spending all your farmers' bailout money for his ballroom and giving it to Argentina so they can make money off their soybeans. Yeah, you're a competitor. You got played, bitch. You got played. And the reason why so many of you are going on with this notion and going on with this crap is because you know it's wrong and you're too scared to admit that you're a goddamn fool. Admitting that you made a mistake by voting for that man would be admitting that you are a goddamn fool. This isn't about racism. Black people are not your problem. Trans people are not your problem. Gay people are not your problem. Black women are not your problem. Your problem is billionaire fascist oligarchs who are taking you as a dumbass cracker and taking all of the cushion that you have. That's your problem. Oh, and what do you know? The moment you thought you didn't have anything in common with a nigger, that's all of our problem. So again, in closing, it will behoove of you to side up with the niggers. You mean to tell me y'all went down there on January 6th and raised hell for a red belly renegade motherfucking welfare tax evading butch queen who don't know how to blend their makeup with a bad toupee on his head? But you won't go down there for your health insurance and your bailout for your farm? Huh? Baby, white supremacy and bigotry is real expensive. And you don't have the dollars. And on that note, it's good to be back. And on that note, I love y'all. I will see y'all in a few days. I promise. Things have been cleared up. I'm good now. I will be back in a few days. I love you. Ciao. Or should I say, au revoir?